ICP, Caspa, AAVE, Phantom, these four have been standouts in the altcoin market over the past 7 days. Which one of these four have the best chance to continue their rally, potentially putting in a new cycle high? We'll talk about that. Some big news coming from each of those ecosystems. And which one is the better play right now at current prices? We'll talk about that. Also, inflation numbers are out. We're trending in the right direction, or so the numbers say. So why haven't the markets moved? What does it mean for Jerome Powell's FOMC meeting next week on Wednesday? And what kind of effect could it potentially have on the cryptocurrency markets? We're also going to talk about DPIN, why one company could potentially be a massive catalyst for the entire DPIN ecosystem. Which altcoins in that category should you have your focus on? Should you put on your radar? We'll talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel, where unlike the other channels where they take old, boring, and stale information and just ram it down your throat, we delivered it in a fun and sexy way.
We add a little loop to that thing.
Oh, don't you start with me, bro. I figure I just
say it. Bitcoin.
No. Actually, I just figure, I figure today would be the day for us to, tread the line on getting our show canceled. What do you think?
Oh, God. Okay.
All right. So, there's riding the bull market, which you would normally ride the bull. I have here. This isn't a bull. Okay. Yeah. So,
markets are hot. Opening up with that, huh?
Yeah, man. You know what? Hey, we want to ride the bull market, so there's other alternatives out there. I'm not playing around. I'm not playing around with it, but
looks like you're trying to ride something else.
No.
Anyways, Jesus Christ.
Bitcoin 67,800. It is up from 55,000 just 2 hours ago.
It's at
so we're seeing a big rally. Yes, where it was yesterday, I know, I understand that. But we were.
You said 60.
Did I say 57, 67? We know where it's going,
guys.
So 57,000 up from 55,000 just 2 hours ago, and so
it was at 58.
No, I'm just saying 2 hours ago, Bitcoin's price was taking a little slump, right? And so you take a look here. You got Bitcoin's price movement on the 24 hours at 55.6 2 hours ago. And so in a short period of time, we've seen this big rally. I'm just curious.
Massive rally.
If we'll see that 58, maybe 59,000 by the end of the day, 60,000. I don't know, man. I think this is I think this might have some momentum to it. I mean, what do you think?
Tell me where I've heard that before.
I am the man, momentum,
The Momentum Man.
Momentum Man. That's my new name today is Momentum Man. Momo Man.
Momo Man.
Yeah, that's me.
Just replace one letter in that. But listen, we do have a poll up. Which altcoin will continue to rally? ICP, AAVE, Caspa, and Phantom. I did mention they've had a pretty good week. Let's start with ICP. Up 16% over the last 7 days. I did do a video earlier before the show with Kyle Langham. So if you're an ICP fan, you're going to want to watch the video. You're going to want to watch the video when it comes out after the live show. So do not miss it. We talk about what the hell's going on. Kyle talked about when they expected ICP's tokenomics to become deflationary. They thought it was going to happen in 2027, but it's happening now. What does that mean for the ecosystem? Again, 16% up on the 7-day at $8.85. I want to share this post here from Dfinity. Compute on ICP is exploding. Yesterday, 76.4 quadrillion cycles, which equates to around 12,000 ICP tokens, were burned for that compute, highlighting ICP's utility and scalability. And so here you have a scenario of, okay, we know speculation moves the price, but also demand moves price. And in this case, you want a strong rally. You start to see utility and actual use case drive the price up. And then you start seeing more speculators pile in, and it kind of creates this effect where one stacks on top of each other, gets to $12, and then more cycles are burned, and then it becomes more deflationary, and it keeps going up, and then more people keep buying, and the next thing you know, you're looking at a $25, $30 ICP. So could this rally continue? You also have Caspa. This is up 7.6% over the last 7 days. We talk about some news from the Caspa community here. So the Caspa Ecosystem Foundation officially launched their plan. They're excited to announce that the Catalyst Ecosystem Plan Series 1 has launched with $10 million in funding for this series. We're igniting the Caspa ecosystem through a multi-phase campaign that includes grants, user and developer education, infrastructure development, community events, and more. This is just the beginning. They are doing an AMA on the 15th. So in 4 days, if you want to join, you know what? I'll just repost this so you guys can join if you'd like to. So you have Caspa, okay? Then you have Phantom, up 22% over the last 7 days, going from, on a 7-day chart, going from a low of around 35 cents up to 50 cents. It did reach 52 cents. This was back on, this was yesterday at around noon Pacific Standard Time. Currently had a little bit of a pullback. We talked about this yesterday with this Phantom chart, is we talked about the breakout above this trend line, and we, I said, we're probably gonna get a retest of this trend line. It looks like we're going that way. Now, if we do get a retest on this candle, which still has about 5 hours and 45 minutes to go, we could potentially be looking at a 45.64 cent Phantom. If it happens, over, let's just say, the next 3 days, you're looking at a 44.68 cent Phantom. But the important thing here, you guys, is for this trend line to hold support. This would be massive for trend reversal. As you can see here, Phantom has been trending down on the daily really since March of this year. And so key area here for Phantom, if we do get that bump and run, how high can Phantom run? I think the immediate support level or the immediate resistance level that I see on this Phantom chart, and I'll drop a horizontal line here, is this area right here, right around 62.61 cents. We've tested this as support multiple times. Even here on the last one, we saw a drawdown from around 63.9 cents all the way down to 47.3 cents. We bumped up against this as resistance. Now, on the way up, I would expect to see a little bit of resistance right at that 62.6 cent level. Also, leading up to our massive run from around 39 all the way up to that $1.23 level. This happened earlier this year, back in March. We did have a big run up, came back, this line held, and we continued our rally up to that $1.23. So Phantom chart is looking real good as long as this trend line does not break. And finally, you have AAVE, another DeFi play. At $148.50, it did reach $156. It is up 9.7% over the last 7 days. Some news here from AAVE. AAVE proposes Coinbase's CBBTC integration for their V3 on Ethereum. This strategic move expands the choices of assets available to DeFi users. The integration is expected to improve liquidity and encourage more users to participate in the platform. There has been controversy with the wrapped Bitcoin, and AAVE has realized the need for more Bitcoin-based assets in their V3 environment. This integration will also utilize Coinbase's strong liquidity to provide better borrowing options on AAVE. Collaboration between AAVE and Coinbase will help increase the number of users, positively impacting both companies in the DeFi market. So I ask you, the chat, and feel free to use the poll that's up there, but which of these 4 coins do you think has the best chance for a sustained rally? And I got
some bad news for you, bro.
What?
The chat is not working, so there's no chat. So
that's not working.
No.
What?
Chat is down. So,
okay.
For those of you that want to chat, you can chat on X. So go over there. But for some reason, YouTube's chat feature is not working at the moment. So
damn it, YouTube.
We apologize for that.
Because you show the bull.
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah,
Maybe.
that's that.
Thanks, Robin. You tanked us.
The chat,
You know.
yeah.
I hope that laugh was worth it.
It was worth it. It was.
All right. So no chat. So Robin, you're my chat today.
Yes.
Chat Robin. ICP, Caspa, AAVE, Phantom. I kind of laid out what's happening. What's your thoughts on the price action we're seeing? And if you had to pick one or two,
I got to go with ICP and their momentum at the moment. I mean, they're
got
up.
big momentum.
They're up at 7%. I've seen this story over and over and over again. We talk about, hey, this chain's starting to blow up. Remember Solana when Solana moved from $20? We're like, man, this thing has moved from $12 up to $20. It's at $40 right now. It's gaining so much momentum. You know what? I mean, is it done rallying? Is the pump over? And so for me, I look at it and I'm just like, man, how much more is this thing going to run? And it's outside the top 20. So I feel like it has a lot of room to run. Wouldn't be surprised to see it, get up to that $10 mark. I think that is the next stop. I think it'll be at $10 by the end of the weekend. What do you think about that? You think it'll cross the $10 mark this weekend?
I mean, activity on the network is growing rapidly.
Okay.
And we talked about that with Kyle in our video, but I'm just pulling up an ICP chart here. So it's kind of looking at ICP's chart. I mean, we've technically put in a higher high, right? And technically by a very slim margin on the daily, we put in a higher low. So you can see here, and I'll drop some lines here. This was our previous low. This was the last low we saw. And then when we talk about highs, right, this was the previous high. And the one we just made, if it holds, will be right here. This is our other high, right? So you have essentially this zone here with one kind of deviation above it. Can ICP stay above that $8.84 level, that $8.92 level? If it does, there's really nothing stopping it from going to, like Rob said, over $10. Now, once you get above that $10, we should expect to see a little bit of a pullback, right? But the next level, the overbought level, so to say, the premium zone, which typically is an area you kind of want to sell, is between that $10.74 level and the upper end is at $11.31 level. But I will say, if the burn rate continues and if the adoption and we see maybe another Bob.Fund style network activity that brings that kind of usage and burn cycles and makes the token even more deflationary, this thing can run past that $10 and get to its next stop, just around $13, where we saw a shitload of buying happening, right? This level right here, before we had that massive spill off, you have about 2-to-1 buys to sells at this level. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. But ICP is, for me, is obviously we care about short-term price action, especially if you're a trader. But as far as like the technology and what it's doing, this is absolutely a long-term play, right? This is like an Uber style play. So yeah, I mean, for me though, if I'm looking at charts and I had the Phantom chart up here, I'm very curious to see how that 44 cent level holds, that 44.2 cent level holds. Because if it holds, then we can see a 62 to $1 Phantom. AAVE too, don't sleep on AAVE and Caspa. A lot of people, from a sentiment standpoint, feel like it's kind of the peak has happened as far as excitement. We've reached all-time highs. I actually disagree. Although the buyer exhaustion might have set in just a little bit, right? As we take a look at the 1 month for Caspa, right? It got up to that 21 cent level. It dipped down below to around 14 cents. And it's been climbing steadily. But we're going into an age of Caspa where we're actually going to see like things happening on the network. We talked about the $10 million ecosystem fund. You have the Key initiative, right, with the energy sector. You have the KRC standard going live in 4 days. And so network activity is going to ramp up. And so I think all four of these projects are great. If I had to pick one, which I think would continue its rise, I would have to go with Phantom, man. And I think that sonic upgrade, a lot of people are anticipating it, which would make it the fastest blockchain in the world when it comes to finality, 720 milliseconds, $120 million fund that developers can lock into, and 90% of the network fees get paid back to the developers. And so you have developer incentives to come and build on the Phantom blockchain. But I'm bullish on all four. That's kind of my stance. Which one are you least bullish on? I know you said you're the most bullish on ICP, but if you had to pick one that you're kind of like, you know what, if I make 20% gains, I'm going to take some profit.
Call me crazy if I said Phantom.
No. I thought you were going to say
I just think that out of the four projects, you know, Phantom is very pumpy, right? We saw that last.
Very pumpy.
It is. It's got a lot of. It makes big swings.
But I can say that about anything.
No, Caspa's been steady up and to the right. ICP had a mismatch on its price listing, and went through the bear market and has been steadily climbing since then. AAVE was a juggernaut last bull market, and I don't even think that was really that pumpy. I think they just had sustained growth, got to a really large market cap, and then it bled off like everything else did. But Phantom, that thing really moved a lot last bull market. It got real hype behind it last bull market, so 2021. And then it fell off, and then we saw almost a dead Phantom here over the bear market. And then all of a sudden it kind of resurrected itself. Then it went back to sleep. Now it's back. And so that I just say, there's a lot of volatility there.
Just took a nap, man.
Yeah, just a lot of volatility. And so for me, I think what you're going to get out of Caspa, steady, sustained growth. On the way to that 75 cents is where I think it's going. With ICP, I think that it's making strides. I don't think that ICP is due for a pullback. I think that it's just naturally kind of accumulating more users, onboarding more people, increasing its DApps, TVL. The burn cycle is accelerating. And so for me, I look at it like, these and then AAVE is not going anywhere. The competitors are few and far between for that sector. I mean, there's a couple, but they're leading the race on that lending DeFi. And so I don't know. I would say Phantom. Although I like Phantom, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing get up into that top 30. So it's right at the number 50 on the market cap list. And so at a $1 billion market cap, I wouldn't be surprised to see it 2.5x and get up here into the likes of Polygon, ETH Classic, Sui, Stacks. I think that this is an area I think that it could get to. And to 2x where it's at, that put it right at $1, right? And so would it reach $1 and then as resistance and bounce off? I think that's probably more likely, but yeah, but I'm kind of 50-50 on this. On the other three, I would say that I'm more well assured that it's going to generate healthy returns, while Phantom wouldn't be surprised for 2x up to $1. I mean, you look at it was over $1 just March, and so you look at this all time, that's even more impressive. Almost $3, so it was at around $2 for quite some time. This is what I was talking about. I mean, you see this giant swings it had here.
Phantom and Cardano really crushed it last cycle, right? I mean, Phantom went from, I don't have a chart pulled up here, but
yeah, it went from 25 cents in August of 2021 up to $3 in 2 months. 2 months to 10x last bull market. And then from the 10x, it lost 50%. Then it rallied back a 2x and then back down to 30 cents. And so that's kind of where I was getting at. Really hypey, really pumpy for that one. So,
yeah, January 25th. I mean, you can look at 2 cents to $3. Did you say 2 cents or 20 cents? You said 20 cents. This thing went from 2 cents, right? I mean, you take a look at this chart here.
Yeah, I was just talking about August. So from August to October, it went from 20 cents to $3.
Look at that, Robin. Look at that. This was January 22nd of 2021, 2.6 cents, right? Had a rally, and then the peak, and I'll drop a flag here as well. The peak to the wick was $3.47. That's a Cardano style rally, right?
Yeah, I mean, it came out of nowhere. We saw, I think it's more of a Solana kind of rally, right? And so you had something that came to be something that was, new on the streets, very little investment. Then all of a sudden got mainstream adoption, and, just grew with the bull market. And could we see something similar? I think the dollar phantom is on the table. I think it's just on the short term. I would just say to you, like, hey, what is your risk appetite? Are you okay trying to swing for the fences? Because I think that's kind of what you're getting out of Phantom. You're getting more of that higher return, higher risk thing. So
a lot of exciting things happening in Phantom and DeFi. Speaking of DeFi, I want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Radix. Radically Better DeFi. I do want to share one thing from their website here. What they're calling a game changer, which is flash liquidity. The TLDR on this, my friends, and I'm reading here from the website, flash liquidity unifies liquidity across the entire crypto ecosystem into Radix, enabling seamless, capital-efficient trading without liquidity providers needing to pre-lock assets. It offers traders deep liquidity and low slippage while giving developers access to global crypto liquidity, all within a decentralized framework, all within a project that everything happens on the layer one. You talk about other DeFi projects like AAVE, Compound, Maker. They're all built on top of another layer one, right? You're talking about a project that does DeFi. Their thing is DeFi, and it's all on the layer one, which takes away a potential, not a pain point, but, the margin of error slims, whatever word I'm looking for. So a big thank you to Radix for sponsoring today's show. We did have CPI numbers come out. 2.5. August CPI inflation falls at 2.5%, in line with expectations. Core CPI, 3.2%, also in line with expectations. This marks the lowest annual inflation rate since March of 2021. The first rate cut since 2020 is coming next week. Any thoughts on this, Robin? I don't know. I feel like I'm still paying a shitload of money for groceries.
The thing is, whatever you paid last year, it's up 2.5%. So it's not like anything's getting cheaper. If anything, the pain is slowing, right? That open wound that's gushing blood is now just trickling blood. So
it's interesting. The NASDAQ. So I was just taking a look at the traditional markets. The NASDAQ is up significantly, 1.4%. Dow is down and S&P is flat. Very interesting to see these three move. You got one down, one flat, one up pretty.
Yeah, well, NASDAQ represents more the tech sector. And so perhaps there's a little bit more interest as far as investor sentiment into the tech area of Wall Street. And so could we see a little bit? Maybe that's why the ASI token's up. Maybe the AI narrative, because AI is such a big dominant player when it comes to the NASDAQ currently. NVIDIA is just absolutely, the king on AI and Wall Street. And so, could that be a cause and effect? Perhaps. So,
yeah, I mean, look at over the last 7 days, ASI is up 18%.
Yeah, ASI is crushing it right now. We just did a video talking about how bullish we were on ASI last week, right? It was last week.
Was it?
I think if it wasn't last week, it was a week. In the last, I would say 10 days, we did a video. Let me see here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty bullish on Fetch and ASI. It'll be interesting to see.
We published it on August 26th. So yeah, about 2 weeks ago. And so about 2 weeks ago, we were eyeballing ASI's growth and, what we were seeing at a price action. And, not to say that like, hey, we told you so, but hey, we told you so, bro. But I mean, is it coincidence that what are the projects that we focus on? ICP, CASPA, ASI, Cardano. Now, maybe you remove Cardano from the equation, but there's a different thesis on that. But the projects that we talk about are the ones that are routinely outperforming the rest of the altcoin market, right? I mean, CASPA has outperformed pretty much all the alts in the last 8 months, right? And then you have ICP, who, well, we see that they're now buzz and growing. We've been over here. I don't know what else we got to do to tell you that we like ICP. And then, you have the ASI, which, we have the strongest, AI videos as far as views out of damn near every channel. And so we're behind that, and that thing is massive. And so, wake up, everybody! Like I don't know what else to tell you, but we're showing you the winners, and we're not talking about Litecoin, who's bleeding off, down 5% on the week, who is just routinely underperforming altcoins and particularly Bitcoin, and we're not talking about Cosmos, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Cosmos, but I mean the reality of it is that the market is going a certain direction in some of these projects. And you know what? If something changes, I got no problem. You know what? I like Cosmos. I think it's a great project. I would just say to you, like right now ain't the time to be in Cosmos. Don't you agree?
I disagree. I think it's down so bad. Like, what are you going to wait for? $2 Cosmos?
But that's the thing. But when we start beating the drum on Cosmos,
if you want exposure to Cosmos, if you're like, then okay. But if you're like, hey, I'm waiting to get exposure to Cosmos, what else are you supposed to do?
But where I'm trying to get at is that our delivery as far as content, what we cover, is we see an opportunity in the market to make money. That's why you're here, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a few people that like, my personality. But I think that realistically you tuned in because you want to know, hey, what projects I'm going to make money on, and we're hammering it down your face, man. We're giving it to you. And so where I was getting at is that I'm a fan of Cosmos, and I think if you're a fan of Cosmos, it's a great time to enter in. But what I'm going to tell you is that when it's time for Cosmos to move and make money, when the time to get into Cosmos, when the narrative is obviously in Cosmos's favor, and there are external factors, and there's a momentum behind it, and you see that the community is about to rally behind something, when those become evident and apparent, we're going to give it to you. We're going to say, look, like, we haven't been covering Cosmos much, but it is time to wake the hell up. And so that's what we've done with all of these other projects. And so,
I was taking a look because, projects like Near Protocol, I was talking about Near, and I'm looking at my buys, and I was buying Near bought some at $3.98, bought some at $1.44, I bought some at $3, I bought some at 98 cents, and I'm looking at Fetch AI, or Fetch AI back when it was Fetch, now it's ASI, and I was buying this thing at 19 cents, and I'm almost positive I was talking about it on the live show. 37 cents, and you can look here, 37 cents on November 13th of 2023, right? And so you wait all that time, you wait almost a year, and you're sitting on profits of 300, 400, 500%. That is the idea. That is, and like Rob mentioned, that is why you watch YouTube. That's why you watch channels, is you can't research everything. You can't learn about everything. You might not have some of the resources that we have, that we've grown through the 3 years that we've had a channel, the relationships that we've made, and the information we can get from those people and relay that to you, maybe not verbatim, but relay it to you and say, hey, look, a lot of things happening. You should be bullish on this project. Of course, you should never listen to one person or do what one person tells you. But at the end of the day, you watch channels like this to get the information that maybe you haven't found, or maybe you're watching it to get confirmation of what you already believe. Either way, there's a lot of money still to be made in cryptocurrency, whether the price is choppy up or down. You just need to keep your ear to the ground. The debate was yesterday, and in the honor of the debate, I have a meme here. What happened to him? He thought Trump was going to mention crypto in the debate last night. You were so adamant about that.
I still never. I was in the game that it was less likely for that to be a question, but I thought it was more probable than the debate of prior. Right. I thought that, hey, now that Trump had spoken at the Bitcoin conference, the economy and finance was going to be one of the center stage questions. But I feel like a lot of it got moved into January 6th. And
such a dumb.
And also, I feel like they dropped the ball on important questions. Now, whether or not you're a fan of, if you're a Democrat or Republican, I think that there was a lot of banter back and forth on issues that they're more or less insignificant, right? And it was a lot about abortion ban, and Trump's like, I'm not trying to ban abortion. And then they're like, yeah, you are. And then all of a sudden it's January 6th. And so I feel like a lot of questions, and even outside of just, I would like to hear, what are your stance on crypto? But I'd also like to hear, what is your stances on gun control? What are your
how are we going to get out of debt?
Yeah, how are we going to get out of debt? Like, what? And so my big takeaway, I'll leave my personal feelings out of it. I think most of you know where I side on who I think would be better for the direction of the country as far as the economy. Now, I can say that, from a crypto and economy standpoint, I think there's one obvious candidate. Now, whether or not he's the most well-suited person to run the country, that's a different story. But I think just from my own, hey, I have a crypto business, and so for that reason, I'm endorsing one candidate. But I would say that I think that the debate was dropped as far as an opportunity to get people's opinions on what side it is. Now, you can blame the moderators, you can blame the back and forth rhetoric, but I was hopeful that we were going to put some policies on the table and say, hey, what are we going to do here? Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and neither did a question on crypto, which I was hopeful for, but realistically not surprised.
Yeah. I want to shift the conversation here to BTC. It's interesting. Bitcoin miners have sold over 30,000 Bitcoin in the last 72 hours, worth $1.71 billion. So in 3 days, they've sold $1.7 billion worth of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is up. Take a look at the 7-day. It is up. It came in, it is flat. 57.9. It did dip below, as Rob mentioned, that got to that 53.2 level, that 52.9, but it is back up. And so I feel like we're seeing a lot of things going against us, right? The miners selling, a lot of outflows from the ETFs. And
I know it seems like a flash in the pan. It seems insignificant, especially since we've been in this consolidation for quite some time. But I do think there is something to take away from this big move this morning. And I don't know, man. I think that this breakout might be a little different. And once again, up from 55,000 just 3 hours ago, and up to that 58,000. We briefly hit 58,000. And so could we see this continue? I do think that we touch 60K by the end of the day today. I think that this continues. I want to know, you in the chat, what do you think? Do you think that Bitcoin's sudden price movement, I know this is downplayed by my co-host here, but up from 55,000 3 hours ago to $58,000 now, do you think that this continues and we catch this momentum and we get up to that 60K by the end of the day? Put a 1 in the chat if we see a $60,000 Bitcoin. Put a 2 in the chat if you, no, that ain't going to happen. I don't think so.
No, that ain't going to happen. I don't think so.
Nah?
I'm just kidding. I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
But if you had to pick, do you think it's going to hit 60K? If you had to pick,
by the end of the day?
If you had to flip a coin, or not flip a coin, but you had to choose.
Here's the interesting thing. NASDAQ is up, right?
Yeah.
It's really the only, what's the word I'm looking for? The Dow Jones is down, the S&P is down. NASDAQ's really the only one that's up, which, like you said, focuses on tech, which is considered a lot more risky, right, to a lot of investors. Could we see big inflows into the ETF after seeing massive outflows, and those settle around 4 p.m. Pacific time or 3:30 p.m. Pacific time? Can we see Can we see that? I think that would push it past $60,000. And so that would be my thing is how is the NASDAQ performing and how could that potentially trickle down or equate to how the inflows or the outflows would look like for the ETFs? I don't think we're going to see a big outflow day for the ETF today. We could potentially see a big inflow day, which if that's the answer, then yes, I do think we can get to 60K by the end of today. There's 2 car companies that are doubling down, and it's Ford and Toyota. Double down on blockchain as driverless car technology stagnates. So Ford and Toyota continue to lead the way when it comes to the development of blockchain-based vehicle technology. Big Toyota guy here, love Toyotas. Between 2 of them, Ford and Toyota filed a total of at least 43 blockchain-related patents in the second quarter of 2024. Ford, for example, recently filed a patent that could ostensibly provide immutable provenance for vehicle ownership. Per the filing, Ford's system would, quote, manage ownership data of a vehicle, including changes in ownership of the vehicle via smart contracts that execute automatically in response to real-time event data. Meanwhile, a recently filed Toyota patent indicates the company is exploring the development of an internal blockchain-based system to manage non-fungible tokens, NFTs, related to its vehicles. This system would ensure that vehicles in storage, such as those held by dealers until sale, are accurately reflected on the blockchain ledger. Interesting there. We talk about, there's always talk about, well, what's the real use case for crypto? I think the easy answer is stable coins. But I think supply chain and infrastructure is an easy one as well. And you think about
titles, dude. I mean, it's such a no-brainer.
Well, California's already doing that.
Yeah, it's such a no-brainer for us to go across. Here's the thing. There's a license plate on every single car, no matter what state it is, right? And every state has a different looking license plate and different number system that they put on there. But they all share this universal agreed upon tag, right? And so why not do the same thing with car titles? Why not say, hey, you know what? Instead of having it in DMV in California or in DMV in Arkansas, DMV in Texas, and then you got to go sell, you got to go down to the DMV, you got to prove who you are, right? It sounds funny because you go down to the office and you're like, you got to prove who you are. You got to bring your Cox cable bill, your electric bill, your ID, and then you got to drag the guy that you met on the third party platform. You know, I mean, like, hey, he sold me his car on Facebook Marketplace. I bring him down to the DMV with me. You're both sitting there. You're both authenticating who you are. And then there's a transfer of a piece of paper from one to the other. And then the DMV logs in and says, okay, now you're the owner. And so it's just like.
And all that in 4 hours.
4 hours. I mean, you're
6 hours.
crazy, man. It'd take 4 hours just to figure out what window you're going to go to. and then why not just have this? Why not just say, hey, I bought your car. And so why not have the dealer issue the title, which they already do, but issue it digitally. Now you can say, hey, from the supply chain side, you can say, okay, it left the warehouse here, it left this manufacturing plant. It was built by this technician. This guy put the engine together. This plant and if there's a recall, you can instead of recalling every single car with every, because the door handle, fell apart or the gas pedal got stuck, Tesla.
And that would save the manufacturers a lot of money.
Yeah. And so now you can go right back. Instead of recalling every single car, you can say, okay, how about this? The NFTs, the titles of the cars that were made in this plant here by this person, those need to be recalled, and then you get pushed a notification straight to your wallet or to whatever browser you got, or maybe you get pushed an email, whatever it is, you get notified. And then you, instead of you going to go get an oil change from your dealer, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, you got like 5 recalls. We're like, why are you telling me this now?
That just happened to my wife.
Yeah, you go down and all of a sudden, what is a recall? It means that your car has some kind of problem that's a safety concern, right? They're not going to recall it because the window button doesn't work, right? And so usually they're like, hey man, there's something wrong with the brake lines here. We need a recall. And so you're not even going to know about it until you go down to the dealership for whatever reason. And so why not have that communication straight to you? And then why not weed out all of the the recalls that don't need to be done that way. And then there's obviously for the end consumer, hey, now that I own the car, I have the title, it's digital. Instead of meeting this guy at Applebee's and then going down to the DMV and wasting both our times, he sent me the money. Let's put in a smart contract. Here, once I receive payment, smart contract transfers ownership to you. It just seems absolutely like a no-brainer.
Think about all the fraud too that happens. I used to live in California, and there's a lot of shady shit that happens down there. Like people taking cars, they're ready to sell a car. They run a car up to 150,000 miles. They're ready to sell it. They take it to someone and they roll the miles back. So when you look at the odometer, it looks like it only got 50,000 miles when it's really got 150,000 miles. And so these are all things that the end consumer gets harmed by. I did a case study on Nike. Nike loses about $1 billion in revenue every single year from people thinking they're buying authentic Nikes, but are buying fake ones. And that money does not go to Nike. It goes to whoever created it. So if you have something like Rob mentioned, where you not only track the supply chain, but track exactly who made it. Is it a Nike authorized dealer? Like a Carfax for shoes. That's just one example. I think you can go to Nike and say, this could potentially put, even if it's not 100% of it, even if it's 20% of it, that's $200 million of revenue like that. That's added to your bottom line. It makes sense. And so DPIN is one that it might not be exciting when we talk about infrastructure, right? It's exciting when we talk about meme coins. Exciting when we talk about this.fun or AI. Infrastructure is like, okay, cool. It's the stuff you don't really think about on the back end, but it's key, it's pivotal, and we're heading that way. And this is just one example of why we're heading that way.
Yeah, I think this whole ideology is going to expand. You know, we talk about ticketing as well as an obvious opportunity for blockchain to come in and shake the market up. And I think all it's going to take is one company. They don't even need to advertise as blockchain, right? Just have some new ticket provider. And then all of a sudden the fees are substantially less, because we know that StubHub,
Ticketmaster
just
destroys people.
Yeah, they're getting around 10% on both ends of the transaction. So if I sell a ticket for $200, they're taking $20 right off the top plus the extra
person
fees.
Buying it pays $20.
And then and then they pay $20 as well.
So realistically, it's 20%.
Yeah, it's 20%, but they're taxing both sides.
Actually, more than that.
Yeah, so just imagine when someone comes in and be like, hey, you know what? And then on top of that, if you sell your ticket, here's the thing: you sell your ticket, you don't get paid until about 10 days after the event.
Yeah, because
you're supposed to deliver the ticket within 24 hours of the event. So you could buy the ticket and I could say, hey, you know, I ain't going to deliver it to you until the event is near. And then if you're the buyer, you're kind of nervous. You're like, I haven't got my ticket yet. But like, well, it's coming in the last 24 hours.
You know,
like,
this could
and then
be,
if they don't deliver it, then they're like, oh, well, we'll pay you for the inconvenience. And so it's crazy.
This could be I think this could be a blockbuster moment where companies like StubHub, like Ticketmaster, just completely get obliterated off the face of it. Why would anyone use Ticketmaster or StubHub when their pitch is, hey, we'll make sure the tickets are real. When you buy them secondary, we'll make sure they're real. We guarantee their authenticity.
They don't even validate it themselves. That's the funny part. You know what they do to make sure they're real? Did the person get in? That's how it is. And if you didn't get in, we'll refund you 100%.
And we'll help the money I spent on the travel.
Yeah. But their thing is like, okay, so StubHub is this. You buy the ticket. If you have any issue getting in with it being fake, we'll penalize the seller, we'll refund the money, and we'll help you get another ticket. It just, like, okay, like, that's good from a business standpoint, but why not just validate the ticket? Why don't we just transfer the ownership live on a blockchain and then problem solved? There's no, like, crossing your fingers here, you know, from the company standpoint, from the end user standpoint. It just seems... Yeah. Eventually, these old business models are going to break. And you can sit here and do a podcast in 1998 and be like, I am so tired of Blockbuster ripping me off with, you know, at the time.
I didn't rewind the tape.
In 1998, I remember it was $10 to rent a movie for the new release for 2 days. $10. And now imagine in 1998, the value of $10 compared to $10 now. It doesn't cost me $3 to rent a movie now. And so the cost that they were ripping people off, and you could have been frustrated. You could have been like, look, man, this business models are going to break your ass, man. This is inefficient. People don't like it. You're price gouging. Somebody's going to come in and take an advantage of you. And Blockbuster was like, well, we got this, bro. We've been renting movies since the 70s, man. We know what we're doing. Can't nobody knock us off our block. And that's exactly how I look at this. I mean, you can look at the taxi industry. You can look at, the newsprint industry. And it's all obvious. The technology is not efficient right now for the transfer of ownership and the title car and home titles and ticketing. And there's a long list of things that is done way better, and it's going to break through whether you want to or not, whether you want to acknowledge that Blockbuster has a competitor around the corner, or that, hey, this taxi system, because I remember we used to call a taxi. You call a taxi, you got some operator, and then all of a sudden you got to wait like 45 minutes, and then eventually some taxi might pull up. Like, what an outdated, crappy business model. Same can be said for the ticketing as well.
Amen to that. Guys, if you want more info on ICP and what is going on with the network, watch the video that drops in about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I was joined by the man himself, Kyle Langham. A lot of good info in there, and so you're going to want to watch that. With that being said, Rocco, thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you had a great time. We sure did. We love you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow. Same place, same time. Until then, my friends. Peace.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.